We have a little bit of time to ask questions of all of the speakers, individual speakers. Also, if panelists have a question of each other or a comment, then you should feel free to do so as well. And we have microphones so that also the people online can hear us. So maybe I'll start with a question to Stefania. The results you achieved seemed pretty remarkable. Wouldn't that then make others in the organization listen up and say we should use this method? Or is that happening? Or how is that going?
Is it working? Yeah? Okay. No. Yeah, Martin, actually we have just finished the program. So we are compiling all the results and we are preparing a workshop for that. We had an internal webinar when we finished the first group to market some of our results. But yeah, we're definitely planning to get a workshop with the managers and directors and senior directors, managing directors to get it, for them to really notice what we are achieving with our VDC application.
Yeah. Okay. And Gunnar, did the organization very quickly catch on the time savings in the eyes, except for you, of course, as the planner, or did that take a while? How was that process?
I think the time saving wasn't that important to them.
Okay.
They felt that it was great to get out of the meeting early so they can do other stuff, because there is a lot of meeting in a complex project. But I think the key thing is that they could actually decide stuff. So it was nearly purely decision meetings. We decided everything in those meetings. And I think the value of that was quite greatly appreciated in the project.
Yeah, okay. Maybe one more quick question for Tora. You showed a quite complex process at the beginning. And how did you just draw the process, and because that's what you experienced, or is that process documented in the company? In my experience, it's many companies don't actually have these processes documented. It takes quite a while to actually figure it out. Yeah, maybe can you tell us something about the process you started and what it was like to make it, and then the one you ended up with?
Yeah, it's not a process that we have established, but not. I can take that map out and have it. I made it, but that's the way we work. So I was thinking, what process do we have? Okay, we have this one, and okay, what does it look like? And that was how I started working with it.
And when people saw it, what did they say? Fantastic! Look how great a process we have, or did they say, "Yikes"? Didn't realize that it was like that?
A lot of people say, yes, that's how we work. And then they were really happy with our new process. So yeah, a lot of people, it's familiar, but it's not formally out there.
Yeah. As you know, as a faculty member, I'm quite used to ask questions, But this is also for you to ask questions or have comments. Anybody in the audience? And maybe say the name and company if you don't mind.
Yeah, Chris Fife with DB Vercon. Stefania, when you were talking to the client about the shutdown, did they give you any type of cost per day that any impact to the schedule, either savings or overrun, would have on the project? And was that part of the evaluation as far as return on VDC or anything like that for the cost?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, they actually did. So it was one of the reasons why we could delay the schedule, or like one day of no operation would cost me, I don't know how much, but yeah, I don't have this data, but for sure it was one of the drivers of the shutdown itself. And yeah, that's why it was mandatory for us to January 1st. I'm sorry, I don't have the data now, but we can talk later, and then I'll go to my stuff, and I'll get you the data back, okay?
Hi, thank you. My name is Shane Saltzgiver with VEC. Thank you all for the wonderful presentations. I had a question for Carlos. You mentioned establishing the benchmark that you guys could then work against was very important, of course. And you mentioned that some of that information may have come from the banks or the finance team. Could you share a little bit more about how you actually established that benchmark? And did the data come from the banks and finance, or was it collaborative with the actual client end user of the facility?
Okay, thank you for the question. The benchmark was established based in two things. Before, the prior project, the first project was a very similar project in the same company with the same vendors and contractors. And we set that as a benchmark. And then we set a second benchmark that was in the bid, in the commercial bidding. So it was not a feeling of the company about this should be the value, but we have a bidding, a formal bidding for that. So we have those two benchmarks. So with this information and the results afterwards, the execution of this project, these gaps are presented to these banks. So our banking agents, they can start to measure the deviation, because before it was a negative deviation, and we have now a positive deviation in time, in budget, and plus collocation. So the fulfilling of the site before took about 9 months to 12 months, and this time it took about 6 to 7 months. So it's a great advantage. So the bank is, they haven't gave us a good rate yet, but we are arguing about this, and they are evaluating this thing. So, thank you.
Good morning, and thank you very much for your time speaking today. I'm Jacob Raskin with the Structure Tone Organization Building Group. We're a large general contracting organization based here in the States and slightly further beyond. I think we've got some nice contrast and experiences here, oriented specifically down the panel physically. I'm curious to hear from those from LATAM sitting to my right as people who have behaved in what I would call the contractor seat, compared to those from the owner position on my left, and who are from Norway, where BIM and VDC things are very well established, compared to LATAM, where it sounded like you found things were not very well established. Towards those from LATAM, could you speak about what you wished the owner side knew more, and what sort of impediments to adoption you felt you were fighting or are going to continue to see? And then those from Norway, could you please speak about a little bit what sort of things do you think are coming next in terms of the way that you guys are going to be driving improvements to VDC in your country?
Okay, very nice question. Thank you. Actually, what I would say our owners are missing is well-defined client objectives. So measurable, attainable, very specific, detailed requirements. So not only the purpose of the investments, but also how, a well-established framework, how are they controlling these requirements? How are they assessing and measuring and getting progress of these requirements? So, and I mentioned BIM as a lever to that, because once you have, and Tora's case was really interesting because of it, and Gunnar as well, because as you could see, I imagine, is that they, as owners, they know what they want from the projects and from their BIM models. So in our case, there in Latin America, we're starting to foster our clients in these directions. So come on, guys, you have to define what you want. Asking for a BIM model is not just write a line on your contract saying that you want a BIM model. So yeah, I think I would go for this way.
To complement a little bit about that, yeah, you know, the thing is, as Stefania said, having the right objectives and the right measures and the correct values. But having all of that means that you know what you do, and you know what you do really good. So the problem is in our country, in Peru, not all the companies are that focused in that measurement. So the only measurement that they do is how much are they earning. So the finance is basic, no? So is this a good business or not? But they're not thinking about, are we being excellent by operating? What does it mean in operation excellence? What does it mean in having a correct offer to the market? Are we satisfying them actually? Is this sustainable? How are we doing these things? So they need to start to do that. And in order to that, in our experience, for having this whole thing measured, we needed to ask them and each team how did they did the things and what were the expected results. So they need to reflect on that. So it's a process. I would say between being just a business, simple business that is just how money is in income and how it's in outcome, and a business that is really going further into the business. So when they are clear about that, the technical part is able to really make a high performance product for them.
Yep, you want to briefly say what you expect to be next?
Yeah, I think in Norway, many of the constructors and the consultants and the clients, they know the term, but they actually don't know how to use it and how to use it in a good way. So I think we have to go further, and we just keep learning, keep doing, keep practicing. And in our case, at least in Bane Nor, we need to work with automation to get all these things to talk together and work together. I think that will be the next step for us to lift the automation part of it.
Yeah, to complement on that, I think in the building industry, we have BIM in almost every project, but in almost every project we use it only as a visualization tool. We don't have a focus on information at all. So integrated information and automation would be the next step to actually have the effects of BIM, and I think that is what's coming next, and we're steadily focusing on it. But since everyone is using it differently. So we're not standardized enough. And standardizing information, using EPDs for products will probably help us in the right direction. But that takes time and focus and iterative work, I guess.
Great. Please thank the panelists, the speakers, for sharing their experiences.